Yeah, it's kind of like the idea is that you stumble upon a haunted folder, a zip file, and it's a series of folders that's kind of like choose your own adventure, but in the form of a folder, and it plays out on your actual desktop. So it turns your desktop into a game, and you dig around and you find these cute cyber pets, and they're cute and dumb and weird. And eventually, as you dig around, you find text and email files, and you kind of discover the secret mystery of the Cyberpet Graveyard. It's kind of like the idea it's a digital relic that you happen upon. The website too is kind of like a silly fictional setup in that like the Data History Foundation released this cursed object against everyone's better judgment, and now it's available to the public. Yeah, it's kind of like in a similar vein of using your computer desktop as the game. Instead of, making a fake desktop, you use what is available to you on someone's desktop to have a game or tell a story. I mean, a desktop love story is a little bit more interesting, I think, because I actually managed to get state working in that kind of environment. So, these two files are asking you to pass each other love notes, and state progresses, and as their love builds, then they want to be introduced, so you have to introduce them, but they can't do this without you. So I mean, it's interesting because it's very difficult to work around computer security and the very uptight environment that a desktop actually is to tell this stuff. So it's kind of ridiculous how hard it is. Um, it kind of touches on crunch and abusive labor, and just kind of yeah. I mean, there's like a undertone of treating a development team so poorly that something like that happens to them, and yeah. Yeah, I feel like with a lot of these stories that came out, if you kind of read them and compare them, a lot of these problems festered for a long time, this type of behavior. And it surprises me how much people were aware across the board of any of these abusers, aware of their poor behavior and their personality. But they did nothing because they need their work, they tolerate them, they need their money, and so they go creating victims and no one does anything. And I don't think that it's really bad. It makes an environment where literally every woman that I know in games has had something horrible happen to them, and that's just inexcusable. So even on a very basic level, if people confront behavior and tell them that's not cool, I feel like that would start making a change, because I think abusers especially are very peer pressure. They give in to peer pressure easily. So if everyone is telling someone that a behavior, attitude, treating someone a certain way is not right, they're going to be less likely to do it. No, legal system is horrible. It's ridiculous. Like the whole "why didn't you report it" thing. Like, how? I was in a foreign country. I didn't even know that's a thing you could do. I thought at the very least you have to go to a hospital, and I didn't, like, I didn't have help. And then, like, eventually you read other stories from people that went and tried the legal route, and it's just as ridiculous. I mean, it's absolutely structured in a way to protect the person that's abusive. Like, there's no rights for victims. So if the system fails, at the least communities can do better. Like, I wish people warned me about him instead of giving a huge sales job about how amazing he is. And then it turns out other women had the same horrible things happen to them. I mean, not to the extent and to the extremity that it happened to me, but, inappropriate things that cost them their career. Why are people working with this person? And then you find out that abusive people like this don't even make good work. Like, the amount of fighting that you have to do to get them to just do their work, it's ridiculous. So basically, you're holding on to a guy because of his reputation, which is, if you would just not build him up and protect him from his mistakes and have this false reputation that could go to someone else that's actually good and actually a pleasure to work with and actually not a horrible person. So it's like we create these people with turning blind eyes and not doing anything about it. Right now, it's a lot of talking about how to even start with the unions, but at the very least, people are talking because, like, I think like 9 or 10 years ago, if you would even criticize the work conditions, people would say, "Hey, that's just the way it is. Don't even complain. Like, it should be an honor just to be here," you know. So we finally come to a point where we all agree that this sucks and it can't go on. And I don't know. I feel like more bad things kind of have to happen before that gets possible. But like, I mean, I think it was Riot Games that got sued by the state of California just recently. So there was some kind of big law thing that actually came through. So there's a difference that's being made, and I think at the very least it creates a sense of camaraderie that's important, especially for protecting people from abusive things. Just the idea that people are talking with each other and looking out for each other. Yeah, I feel like it's complicated, but at the least it's something that's starting to be talked about.